think for the first time, I just allowed myself to go through the pain. Like, I decided I'm not even going to try and dampen it. I'm not going to try. I just decided to allow it to go. Cry when you had to. Take those lone times by yourself. I was determined to just allow myself to go through it because one thing that I feared the most was bitterness.
Yes. Welcome to Ignite Possibilities with Coach Lois, the show that highlights women of excellence, and we share stories of hope. We share stories of courage and of resilience. It is a platform that will help you ignite new possibilities. Ignite Possibilities with Coach Lois. In this episode today, we have an amazing guest. Our guest will introduce herself and she'll tell us more about herself.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you for having me in the Ignite show. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Gloria. I'm a finance specialist, mostly in the NGO sector, and I've been working in that sector for the last 13 years. I'm very excited to be in this show to discuss anything to do with womanhood and where we are so far in the journey of womanhood. Thank you so much for having me.
It's exciting to see you here in the show, and I know the women will be inspired by your story. So Gloria, you've mentioned that you are a finance specialist. Where did this begin?
Thanks, Coach. For mine comes from my dad. My dad was in the banking sector, and I always wanted to be like my dad. And going to college, finance was the best option that would lead me to banking. And by the time we were finalizing our degrees, there was less jobs in the banking sector, and for that reason, I decided to look for a job in any other sector, which I found in manufacturing. I was manufacturing accountant for 5 years, and after that, I desired growth. I desired something different. So I was looking for any job in the NGO sector. I landed in the NGO sector, and I've never looked back. I always loved the way our financial figures in the NGO sector actually tell a story. And in most cases, it's a story of how people have benefited from the money that is given by donors or even by individuals. And for that, I love the way our financial figures actually have an impact.
Interesting, Gloria. I love the way you've put it out, that where your dream was ignited, and now you are moving on with your dream. You love being in the finance space. So I'm curious, Gloria, how do you incorporate and bring joy into your life in your career? Maybe you can tell us more about that.
For joy, actually, I'm a Christian, and for me, joy is part of knowing God and actually being able to spread joy even in my own life. But other than that, I love when I'm in the field particularly and I'm interacting with beneficiaries. You can see their struggles, and actually when we're beginning a project and we're doing the finances at the beginning of our project, and you see the impact of the project at the end, it gives you joy because you actually see that you're positively contributing to the lives of others. So the reason why I like my job is the fact that you're able to see the difference that you do, and you're able to see the impact it has on people's lives, and that gives me joy.
Amazing. That's so amazing, Gloria. Now, that's how we expect life to be joyful. And as a young girl, the things that you love doing. And I'm just curious, are there times that your career has not been a straight line? Maybe we can start with your career before going to your life.
Thanks, Coach. Yes, there have been quite a number of challenges in my workspace, and I think the one that comes to mind of late must be challenge interacting with your supervisor. And my challenge was we had a very positive relationship with my supervisor for quite a long time. So when we started having challenges in our communication, I could not get where it was coming from, because I felt we had created the foundation. But later I did learn, we did have a challenge. I ended up ending my contract with the company, but I realized that we should not just assume that because we have good foundation with our supervisor that it should be it'll be like that all the way. I have still not found out what the problem was, because what was a positive, friendly relationship at work ended up being very toxic at the end. I still didn't get the foundation of where it came from, but I have learned so far that I should not just assume that my relationship with my supervisor should be a continuous developing relationship, and I should not just assume because we had a positive start that it should be the same all the way.
That's quite profound, Gloria, because you've brought something about relationships, that relationships are to be nurtured. They don't just happen on their own. You have to nurture them, and that was important in your career. It's as part of bringing joy in your career, you have to work on your relationships. Wow, that is very profound, because most women find the workplace quite toxic, yet they don't know how to bring joy there. So we are learning that for you to thrive in your career, you need to incorporate joy, and one of the ways to incorporate joy is to work on that relationship. It doesn't just happen. You have to craft it. You have to work on it. You have to ignite it.
Yes.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Nice. And I don't know, Gloria, because as women in career, as women in business, as women who are trying to come up with something in our lives that will impact other people, sometimes we don't know what to do. We don't know the future. We don't know what is next. How do you ground yourself to bring yourself to a position where you are grounded and you know really what to work on in your life at any particular time? I'm talking to you now as a career woman.
I've learned so far what keeps me grounded actually is being surrounded with like-minded people who have drive, people who desire growth, people who can plan for their future and are pursuing their goals. And I can tap into their energy, because sometimes you don't have the energy, but I've learned I can tap into their energy, and that keeps me centered. Also, being also God-centered, like looking for your purpose in your work and in whatever you're pursuing, also helps me get centered. And having goals. I had said before, having people with purpose, but also just having goals that keep you driven. I realized that I did do my vision board last year, 2024, and I could actually testify that in all areas of my life, including my career, that I was able to achieve at least 80% of most of the things that I had written there. So even just having goals and written down goals and accountability partners that keep you centered on your goals, I think that helps me to be centered.
Nice, Gloria. And our viewers, you have heard from Gloria that for you to craft joy in your life, your relationships are important. Who else again is surrounding you is quite profound, because the people who surround you, they emit some kind of energy around you. So if you have positive people around you, then you kind of have positive energy, and that helps you to have joy in your lives. Then you have also brought something that is so core to me about having goals and having systems to reach out to your goals. That is not just about the goals, but having systems that help you to reach those goals. And I know you're a woman who embraces goal setting, and you move out of your way and you create time to do that. What else would you add in that helps you, because I can call that self-care? What else do you prioritize in your life to help you ground yourself?
On my self-care, I have, especially because of sitting around like-minded women, I have actually acquired quite a number of things that I do for my self-care. There's the morning routine, the victory hour in our book club, Blue Waters Coaching, has helped me to be able to wake up with purpose. So there's the meditation, there's a prayer, there's reading your book. We always have a book we read every month. There's exercises, making your vision of the day and just seeing how your vision is going to go, and just journaling also what you're reading about life, your thoughts, has helped me to be able to have very focused mornings. And other routines would be just taking care of yourself as a woman. It could be going for spa dates and taking care of your skin. It could be also just skincare routines. Has also helped me to also tap into the other side of womanhood that would actually be neglected. And taking care of myself, also just deciding what matters to me and focusing on it, and also choosing not to focus on things that don't add value to my life, has also kept me take care of myself better, especially in the year 2024.
Wow. This is interesting, Gloria. Now, we've talked about your self-care routine, and you've told us what you practice in the victory hour, because it's a moment of victory, because it's time that you've set for yourself to love yourself, to take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, no one will. So this is an interesting conversation, our viewers, and I want to go back to what you had said, that putting God first. Because here we are talking about igniting possibilities, and there cannot be any possibility without God being at the center of it.
True.
Wow. So I want to just check with you. What practices do you do, or how do you put then God at the center of your life?
Being a career woman, and it sometimes escapes that we think of God way after, when there's crisis or when there's something. But because of the morning routine, you put prayer somewhere in your morning routine. So God comes in. And then also having HBC, we have weekly Bible groups meetings where you're able to make sure, and I've been very intentional about that in 2024, that you're able to be in a group of people who keep that fire burning, apart from just going to church on Sunday and listening to sermons, but also just having a group of people who keep that burning. Yeah. And for me, my strength and my peace come through prayer. So I've also centered prayer as my source of peace. Wow. And every time I do have heavy challenges, not even mine, but even for family or someone who's close to me, yes, I found peace in prayer. Wow. And so when I'm guarding my peace, when I say I'm guarding my peace, it's because I have actually just centered prayer in that. And also I've learned over time that the word of God is power in itself. And the more I declare it and the more I talk into it, it actually gets fulfilled in my life. So I've also learned that if I want my prayers answered, I also have to study, and I have to get more words that I can use when I'm doing my prayers. I think that keeps me God-centered.
Wow. I love that. Because prayer is part and parcel for a woman. Whether you're a career woman, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, you can't stay away from prayer. Yes. So that is so good to note, because now we are seeing you as a very successful woman. You have known how to craft relationships with your supervisors. Your career is thriving. You are building a network of people around you who are surrounding you, and you have positive energy. You've put God at the center of it. You have goals. You are vision driven. You are purpose driven. Has your life always been like this, Gloria? Has your life always been like this? Is it just a straight line up to heaven? Yes. Did you ever have dreams that have been shattered? Did you have goals that you set for yourself that one day they came crumbling down?
Yes, Coach, I would love to say that I've always had a happy life, but that would be a lie. There's so many, actually, even when I sit down, there's so many things which I had desired, I have always hoped for, that didn't really work out. And being as a woman, like the heaviest one, I think, there could be one or two heavy ones, but I think the one which comes to memory would be motherhood. The journey of motherhood, being a young girl. I think we're programmed to automatically know that we'll be parents and we'll be mothers from birth. And for me, it was expected. It is part of what being a woman is. And so when it was time actually when I got married and I was settled and it was time to have children and they were not coming, it was strange, because I felt like as a woman I had lived the way society had taught me. I had never really gone so much outside the boundaries that I had been given. And so I felt like when it was time for life to start gifting, I should be among the list of those being gifted. And so when it was time to have children and there was delay in having that, and previously I'd had quite a lot of gynecological issues, and but you always hope and know that among the blessed you're listed there. So when it was time to have children and they were not coming through as you had expected, and you visited doctors, up to the time when you actually received the news that you probably would not be a mother naturally, I think that was one of the heaviest spaces to be in, and it was a very difficult season. And so when I say yes, I would want to be one of those who've never had challenges. But actually life has given me quite a number of lemons that I've had to make lemonade with. I am still navigating this one, because there's still, of course, you seek medical attention, you look for other options, but it's still something I'm still navigating around. I've learned to have peace with it. I've learned to accept it as one of my challenges, the same way there are those who are born blind or with other challenges as well. But that's one of my plans that are still in waiting.
Wow, that is quite heavy, Gloria. Maybe you'll take us now deeper into this story. What I'm hearing is that you had a dream one day to be a mother. You had a dream to have your own children naturally. Those are the words you've used. So I don't know what happened. What happened, Gloria? What did you experience so that the doctor now told you that you may not be a mother in the near future?
For the first time, I actually go to see a gyna. I remember it was KNH, that's 2011. And I'm told that, of course, after doing
So this is after how many years of marriage? Or it was before marriage?
It's the same year.
The same year you got married?
Yeah, we actually started staying together before we got officially married.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's the same year we're starting life together, and I'm having these challenges, and I actually go to a gyna for the first time. And when they did the scans, you're told you have cysts, which was a very foreign name at that particular time. But I remember a friend of mine had actually told me she went to surgery for cysts. So I had heard the word, but it was very unfamiliar to me. So when the doctor told me I have cysts, and he made it somehow like an emergency, that you have to remove them. Sometimes they twist and it can be dangerous. So I remember within 4 days of going to see the gynae, I had to go. I was scheduled for a surgery, which was still done in KNH. And after that, still months after, there was still a lot of pain. And I remember going back almost 10 months later because of the pain. There was excruciating pain. And I was still told that the cysts are back. So I remember I was very annoyed because I thought I was seeking a solution and see the problem seems to be persistent. So I after that I decided to just try a different doctor because I was told there's a different way of dealing with it because cysts were also being attributed to something hormonal. So I felt let me just go and see a different doctor and get advice on it.
Yes.
So the new doctor put me on hormonal treatment, and I can't describe the what I went through because of this hormonal treatment. It was 6 months, and it was an injection, but the sweat, the heat, the sweat, it was just
totally a mess.
Complete. You'd be like it's like you've just come out from a shower just because of sweat. And it was so extreme that even years later to date, my system has never fully recovered from that. Sometimes the heat rush can just be impossible. And I remember that you're still in your 20s by the time you're experiencing this. And so after the hormonal treatment, that was I would say around 2012. 2 years after the first surgery, again I'm in the office and I also start developing problems again. But these ones, the problems are coming more like you're pregnant because everything you eat, you'd vomit. And it was becoming weird. At the first time you're excited because you're like, oh, finally, because of everyone assumes that when you're vomiting in the morning it's because you're pregnant. But when you go for pregnancy test, it's negative. But you can't keep in anything, including water. So when you go for
that must have been tough.
Yes. Especially once when you realize that you're not pregnant, and this is almost 4 years after
you are desiring for this pregnancy.
Yes.
So now you are thinking, oh my God, night has arrived. Finally it is here. Then
you go for tests, no, it's negative. They even do the blood test because now they think then it's still negative, but you're still vomiting. And then I remember I was put on antibiotics for almost 7 days, and that's intensive antibiotics because you had to go for injection in the morning. Either you get admitted or you go for the injection in the morning, lunchtime, and in the evening. But by then my husband was a very strong support system, so I would be in the office in the morning, go to the hospital lunchtime, go back, and in the evening. But so after 7 days of constant antibiotics, one of the doctors, I remember when I went for the review, and the doctor was like, you're on very heavy antibiotics. If the issue has not been resolved, then there must be a problem. So I was sent to do an MRI, and when they did that, they discovered that I had an abscess, meaning the place that had been operated was developing pus.
Let me breathe in and out. Goodness.
Yes. And so I had to be scheduled on another emergency surgery again. And still they're operating around the same place. They're dealing with the ovaries. Oh, I forgot to tell you that the first time when they did the surgery, my doctor actually told me that I had endometriosis, which was still another foreign name again. But it explained why I used to have very heavy flows and very painful periods before. And I remember he kept asking, how come this thing was never diagnosed? But I said that I had told doctors I have difficult periods. But you see, they always tell you that it is normal.
It's normal. And that's a script we get even as young girls.
Yes.
And as young
that
women.
once you get a child, it's going to
be over. I had the same story.
Yes. So you survive the pain because you hope that it's going to be resolved so later. So now you realize you do have endometriosis. And on the second surgery, when they're doing the abscess, I think because of the extent of the abscess and for what reason, by the result of this surgery was actually I had blocked tubes, and then also the fact that they were on dealing with your ovaries the first time. The second time also, you ended up having issues with your ovaries as well. So after the second surgery, it became apparent that having having a child naturally was now definitely going to be a problem.
This was at what point of your marriage? How many years of marriage?
This is 4 years down.
4 years down the line.
Yes.
Still no child.
Yes.
The dream was still there to have a baby, and now looks like as the years go by, the dream
is running away from you.
It's running away from you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was tough, but like I said, I can never complain when it comes to my husband. I can never complain about the support that I got in that area of my life.
Profound.
It in terms of words, in terms of taking you to the doctor, and even financing some of these processes, I can honestly never say I got a challenge in that area.
Wow, that's profound.
Yes. So it's always been a dream. We also tried using the IVF way.
Yes.
And still no success.
No success.
Yes.
And that is very expensive. I understand it's very, very expensive.
Yes, it is.
And still no success.
Still no success.
So, Gloria, I'm just wondering now, in that situation, 4 years down the line, you don't have a baby yet. Were there any societal, in our African communities, we believe you get married immediately you get a baby. Were there any pressures from your friends, family, anywhere, or your own?
Yeah, the pressures, yes. The pressure was always there. Like I had thought before, you always, being a woman, you always think it's supposed to be automatic.
Yeah.
And only caste people don't have babies.
Yes.
And so at those times you keep replaying what things which you would do that God would not open the way for you. And then of course also being in a church person, there's always going to be one pastor or someone who will always prophesy and have a child. So there is always the hope that it's going to come. So you sit in waiting. The good thing is, like I said, the pressure was never coming from my home.
Wow.
I always felt shielded from that. Even my in-laws never brought it up as an issue. If they did, maybe it was among themselves, but never
to you directly.
Yes. But again, I had always been very open about having that conversation. Because remember, even by the time I was with my husband, we were not officially married. So by the time the issue of marriage was coming up, I ensured to have that conversation in terms of there's possibility that there may be a challenge. And for him, it was never really... For him, he was okay with it at that particular time. Not okay not having a child, but I think he was okay understanding that it's going to be a challenge and it may not go exactly as you thought.
Wow.
So in terms of society, the pressure is there, because sometimes even when pastors are praying, priests are praying, it becomes the first thing to pray about.
Yes.
So you do notice that it's a challenge there. And then also like baby showers and all those things.
Yes.
Sometimes people may not really invite you to them
Oh
because
my goodness.
I don't know, maybe they feel like you may not be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So sometimes with time I got to understand it and stopped holding people anything against them, because you realize it's their journey and they're trying to understand where you are at. And so yes, and also sometimes like seeing kids who you were born when you were seeing and they're walking and they're running, and you always think like, oh, mine would have probably been this age or doing this. So yeah, there are certain challenges. Some are self-imposed, like not anyone has told you, but again also just expectations of life, like at this stage this would have been happening, and then also like motivation, like most people put their motivation in terms of work on it, gives them strength when they're doing it for something. So being a hardworking person, and I know that, so sometimes you feel like, what is all this for? So yeah, the pressure is there.
Viewers, you are meeting today a woman of resilience. You have heard her story. A story of not being able to bear our own child. 4 years down the line, 5 years down the line, 6 years down the line, 7 years down the line, still hopeful, but nothing coming up. Gloria, after 7 years, 8 years, how did life progress?
For me, I think what was helping was my work. because most of the time I'm field based. So you tend to be in a different context from your own issues. You're able to disappear into other people's issues. They're with bigger emergencies. They don't have food. You can see.
I can imagine
their
in the
struggle.
field. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you kind of like disappear in that.
Yeah.
And then also you kind of like also do other personal projects which you can divert your energy towards. And so for me, I think collaborating with my husband at that time was getting these things done and actually coming back at the end of the year and you're seeing, oh, we did this, we can do this. And so I think I also put a lot of effort and work on my relationships with my husband and also with my family. And I also did quite a lot of support of kids who they're not mine, but just to support them emotionally, education-wise. And I remember I learned that also from my former supervisor. I would find him looking for school fees for people who are in high school, and I'm like, but you don't have children in high school.
Yes.
And he told me that as part of their school, those WhatsApp groups in their high school, that they intentionally sponsor kids that they don't know and they will never meet. And I found that very impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, so I also took that up as a challenge.
Okay.
And I just decided to sponsor. I've always sponsored like 2 children for their high school. People, I don't necessarily know them sometimes. But I feel like just supporting, giving back to society sometimes also helps you with coping over your own issues.
Gloria, you've brought up another issue here. You've taken us through your story of childlessness in your marriage, and now you've brought in another aspect of how you are transmuting from the energy, from focusing on the child to something else, so that now you are able now to navigate the storms. And that is the creativity that we need as women leaders, because life will not happen the way we have planned. Things happen, they go zig-zag, but you have to remain focused. And you have to refocus yourself, because your focus was here, but now life has happened. Now you have to refocus yourself. And I like the way you had actually initially said God is at the center of it. You are a prayerful woman. You have centered yourself with the word of God. And now a challenge has come. And in the midst of that challenge, you find another footing. And you are inspired by someone else, someone who was sponsoring other children. So you took it upon yourself now to sponsor. You don't have your own children, but you are sponsoring other children to earn their education. How profound, beautiful, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That we don't have to go deep in our anxiety, our fears, our worries. That God can use our stories so that we can be a gift to other people. Amazing, amazing. So let's go fast forward. I think our time is almost done. I don't know, for how long have you been married now?
Up to 2024.
Uh-huh.
We were making 10 years officially married, but being together for 13 years.
Yeah, that's profound. And so it's 10 years without
10 years
without a baby.
Yeah.
Wow, nice. So that is the first challenge you've told us, Gloria. Is there any other storm that you've passed through your life?
Yeah, I think I was saying up to 2024 is going to be 10 years officially married. But again, 2024 marks the end of my marriage as well.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
We officially got divorced with my husband. And
Divorce?
Yes, the issues of marriage caught up with us.
My goodness. Wow. How did you navigate this, Gloria? I'm now imagining now your marriage has ended. Even the child you wanted is not there.
Yeah.
How did you navigate that and having a divorce at the same time?
Wow. to be honest, I think, Coach, I after the divorce is very painful. I think we actually underestimate the impact it has on people. I consider myself very resilient, but divorce took its number on me. And I remember just having sleepless nights. Like you'd be awake the whole night, not because anything is, but it's because you can't sleep. It's painful because you not only mourn the future loss, you mourn also the years you've invested in this relationship. And then also most of the time when it's ending, it's never ending like handshake, like you're in agreement.
No, I can imagine a divorce cannot be a handshake.
There's so much conflict. It's very toxic. There's a lot of fighting, which was probably never there before. So it's kind of like you're learning another person who you didn't know before, and so it's painful because first it's like you're losing the identity of the person you knew, because he has to end up, or even you probably have to end up this very toxic person towards the end. Like I said, the years you have invested there, and the hopes, the futures, the designs, the friends, the family, the identity, because you're no longer Miss so and so. So even when people call you with that name, you're wanting how you're going to respond to
Mrs. So and so, and now you are no longer Mrs.
Yes. So there's a lot of bitterness. There's a lot of emotional. You feel like it's emotionally betrayal, because you are going somewhere, and all of a sudden you're not going somewhere.
Oh my goodness.
And I feel also the fact that it can also be saddened also because the fact that why didn't somebody fight for it if at all it was ending. So there's a lot of, it's very painful. I actually learned at that season never to tell, the way we tell people, you just pack your bags and go. And I said, we're just talking. It's a very difficult, it's a very painful season.
It's a difficult season.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you navigate? Did you go for therapy after all this? Because I'm imagining the kind of pain, the kind of grief that you actually had. How did you navigate through that difficult season?
That was, I think, for the first time, I just allowed myself to go through the pain. Like, I decided I'm not even going to try and dampen it. I'm not going to try. I just decided to allow it to go. Cry when you had to. Take those lone times by yourself. I was determined to just allow myself to go through it, because one thing that I feared the most was bitterness.
Yes.
I could just, I've seen people 10 years down the line bitter over the same thing. I was determined not to be that.
Not to be bitter.
I was determined not to be that. But the pain would be so much sometimes. But I had quite a lot of people to talk to.
Support system.
The support system was there. But I allowed myself to just go through the pain. And also like I said, I get my peace in prayer.
Yes.
So I decided, God, if this is your will, then it's painful, but I will also just accept it as it is. So, I think that helped me navigate. And then also around that season, my friend sent me a poster, a poster for divorce care, which I had never heard about it before, but it's actually just a program for people going through divorce and separation. And because I was very intentional about not ending up bitter, I remember I even just wrote to register immediately. I needed an explanation to why something can be so painful. I've gone through quite a lot, and this one felt like it was going to be forever.
Yes.
And I couldn't see how I was going to survive this for 2 years, 3 years. So I felt I need something that can help me go through this.
Wow.
And I think that's how I ended up doing divorce care, which I ended up doing. And I'm very glad I did that.
Wow. And now you are here before us, speaking to us and to all the ladies that are listening to us. You've gone through this season of testing, this season where everything went not along the script that you wanted. It's like a different path of womanhood, because the normal script that we have, as you had said earlier, is as a young girl, you are looking forward to the day you have your own job, you have a career set up for you, you there's also a career which is God-given, of being a mother, and you're looking forward to this amazing time with the man of your life. Then, whoo, everything is done. It's like all that you had lived for is done.
Yeah.
So it's like a different script of womanhood.
Yeah.
It's not, your path has been like a different script of womanhood.
True.
But Gloria, what I can see is all these challenges never defined you. You actually refined. Amazing, amazing. So what words of wisdom would you give to our audience as a woman who has gone through the fire and come out alive? What would you tell them? Words of wisdom to maybe that woman that is going through something, may not be the same like yours, but similar to yours. How would you talk to them? What would you tell them?
I think in my journey, and if I'm to speak to somebody going through a different path of womanhood, I think it would be don't lose your individuality as a person. We are all in this earth with a purpose, and we all have value just by being us. And sometimes we allow that to get lost when we are busy pursuing this, trying to fit into these other boxes that you're not, and you end up being an outsider to your own life. And so I've learned to just understand that you are an individual, and never try to dilute or to lose your individuality as a person. Yeah, so for me that can be one of my pillars. And then also just having a kind of like a group of people who surround you, like a sisterhood kind of thing. People who believe in you, believe in your worth, believe in what you stand for. Because as a society, like, given for my path, I wouldn't blame anyone who feels like, remember years down the line when you felt this thing's automatic, how come it's different for you?
It's different from me.
We're also coming from a society where people who don't have that are not the blessed, they're cursed. There must be something wrong with you. So you can't change everyone's ideology or view of life. You'll spend your energy trying to change them. So I usually don't try to. You just align with people who align with you, people who see your value as a person. And then also just to pursue purpose. Like,
powerful. Pursue
purpose, like make your life have meaning for yourself. Not to answer to other people's purpose or to answer to other people's call, but to live a life where you fulfill your own purpose. And also just look up to people who've also lived differently, because there are very many women who have been able to navigate through their own individual challenges and are living their lives to the fullest. So it doesn't have to be according to the script that everyone does.
That's so powerful.
So also just looking up to people who have lived differently. And you can follow their styles or follow their light.
Wow. Thank you so much, Gloria, for that amazing conversation. Our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. Ignite Possibilities with Coach Lois. Today we had an amazing guest, Gloria, and she has shared with us her story of resilience. And I pray that story ignites hope in your life, that even when we are faced with challenges, that we can overcome them. We can ignite new possibilities. We don't have to stay in the same space. You need now to make God at the center of it. And the God of all possibilities will enable you ignite new possibilities. So it has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. Stay tuned. Stay ignited. Keep stepping out, stepping up, and standing out. Ignite Possibilities with Coach Lois.